Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar where we'll talk about Qwick Analytics. Just a couple of reminders before we get started. My name's Sean O'Brien. I'm the president of QwickRate. Usually on these, I would be joined by Steve Huntington, who's our director of analytics, and is really kind of our product expert that many of you probably have heard either on a stress testing webinar or a CECL presentation, but it's just going to be me today. Steve is actually working on a couple of new development items for us as we speak for Qwick Analytics. All right, looks like my presentation vanished here. Hold on. Hopefully, there we go. Again, just a couple of reminders. We are in presentation mode, which means you can hear me, hopefully, but I can't hear you. So certainly, as we go through today's presentation, if you have any questions, just please submit those, and I will take those at the end of the presentation. Secondly, we will send out a copy of the slides from today's presentation, along with a link to the recording later, either today or tomorrow. So just a couple of housekeeping items. Just a reminder, for many of you, we're proud of the fact that, for many people, all they think about for QwickRate is our online non-brokered or non-brokered online CD marketplace. But we have, in the past couple of years, really expanded our offerings to community banks, particularly with Qwick Analytics, and now in the last year, IntelliCredit. So we're trying to bring Fintech solutions to you. Fintech is a very buzzy word. It means a lot of different things. There are more Fintechs out there today than there are banks. And I think, one of the things, as a director in a small community bank in Illinois, I think one of the things that you always have to do is a little bit of a self-assessment. And despite maybe the shiny bells and whistles that are out there, you also have to assess where you are as an institution and what you can actually deploy. And I think a lot of the things that we've tried to develop here at QwickRate through Qwick Analytics and IntelliCredit is really centered around, technology that you can actually deploy and make work at your bank, right? Because we hear countless stories of banks engaging in products that they're not able to kind of get off the ground because the onboarding or the transition is too much, or that their data wasn't in shape to be able to do anything. So, I think as we look and investigate a lot of these different products, it's important to know where you are as an institution, but also it's part of the reason we developed the tools that we did, that we believe, these are easy to implement, easy to deploy, and easily to take advantage to bring efficiencies to you and your team at the bank. Just a couple of different, timelines of things that we have done. Obviously, we've been around for over 35 years now. 2013 is when we first made the introduction to Qwick Analytics with a simple report we called the Bank Performance Report Card. We added a stress test, we added a CECLSolver, and then in 2019 began developing what we now call IntelliCredit, which provides loan level analysis, portfolio analytics, and the ability to not only bring efficiencies to potentially internal loan reviews and annual reviews, but also just we can provide external loan reviews for banks. These are cloud-based solutions. We like to joke, one of our mantras is we try to do all the hard work for you. We'll aggregate the data so you can spend your time analyzing it. But we think there's a lot of ways that you can potentially combine work you may be having done by other vendors, and again, bring some cost savings along with some just time efficiencies to you and your team. We think about Qwick Analytics, really in three different buckets. We think there's bank and peer performance reporting is where we kind of got our start. We developed an interactive page with all of your and every other bank's information in the country available to you on your desktop. And then we've also developed where we can and where we think helpful regulatory compliance tools. And in particular, we're certainly getting a lot of traction and interest helping banks put together a plan to deal with CECL that's coming in 2023. Again, we're bringing and aggregating data from a number of different sources. Really, again, that's one of the benefits we're doing behind the scenes. I hope when you see it, it will look all very clean and orderly. But we are in the background, not only crunching a lot of data, but we're just simply going out and finding a lot of sources of data and trying to funnel that into the interface that you'll see here, some screenshots of today. So again, we'll aggregate it, you analyze it. All right, so let's start off with just some of the the first places where we got started in the bank and peer performance in the analytics, the interactive pages. So this is a home page, and what we thought we'd do today is just kind of give you some screenshots. We certainly encourage you to schedule a demo and look through your own data, but there's a lot here. There's a lot to unpack, and a lot of times, even in our demos, it's a lot to take in. So what we wanted to do is use screenshots so we could put some notes and some reminders so that after the presentation today, you can kind of look back and see some of the different things that if we were just doing a live demo, might get glossed over. But you can see on this page, there's a lot of information coming. We've got just industry information coming from the regulatory bodies. We've got information from the St. Louis Fed. We scrape the internet for stories around banks. We've got capital market information, the regulatory tools that you can all see here. In the capital market section, we show you a couple different things. One, we show you the market movers, so the bank stocks that are trading either on the NYSE or NASDAQ or in the over-the-counter markets. We will show you the bank stocks that are moving up or down in each day. We'll show you the top advances in each of those markets and the decliners, and you can see that. Again, this just may be more informational than anything, but it is a start to just providing you and your team with information about where bank stocks are being valued in addition. And that's where we also have a page called Stocks at a Glance. And this has a complete listing of all the bank stocks that are being traded in any of those markets on a daily basis. You can see those listed over here to the left. We give you the ability to jump to any one of those banks' pages and see all of their information. But this is a nice summary that you can sort by either tangible book value, last 12 months earnings, or last quarter annualized earnings. But you can see how bank stocks are being valued in the public market. So it's just a good representation. You can sort these by state. So if you want to just see the bank stocks in your state that are trading, you can see it. But again, it's all right there in your fingertips, and you can see how those valuations are being applied. We've added more M&A analysis. Again, we have a number of non-bank users who use Qwick Analytics. We have traders, we have investors, we have consultants, we have CPA firms. All people related to the industry who want to be able to see what's happening. We have law firms who use this. So we did, in our capital market section, want to make sure we can provide you with the up-to-date M&A information. And so while we have a number of different pages, this one gives you an example of the information that you can see that will show you not only the multiples and the deal activity that has occurred and is occurring, but at the bottom of each of the pages, you can see a kind of a running tally of the transactions. We'll give you some valuations and target financials. We'll put together a little recap sheet. I should have updated this slide. We've got a recap button that will give you just some of the visuals on what occurred in the transaction in terms of valuations and also core deposit premiums paid. So again, just a way for you to very quickly see what was happening and what the terms of a particular transaction were without having to go look for it. Again, all designed to prevent you from having to spend a lot of time to get that out of here. And so that's a couple of the M&A targets. Tabs. Secondly, we also think this is a great tool for data and research. So we give you a number of different ways where you can access and analyze that. One is a tab we call Bank Universe at a Glance, and this allows you to quickly see in your particular state, or any state for that matter, the performance information about every bank in the country. It will allow you to see them. It'll allow you to export them to Excel. But as you can see on this page, we've got a number of different financial metrics all listed out here for every bank in a particular state. You can sort these by state, county, or MSA. Again, you can export it to Excel, but just gives you a very top-down approach to the banks in your state in a very summarized and meaningful fashion. You'll notice and you'll see throughout the presentation, all of our pages in Qwick Analytics, we allow you to export either to a PDF or Excel, or and we also allow you to print them. So not only do we want you to have immediate access on your desktop, but we want you to be able to package it or send it off to other interested constituents as you see fit. Okay. We also, it's that coming up on that time of the year, June 30th, the as of date. All of us will be completing our summary of deposit market information for the FDIC. We grab from the FDIC every night data. So we're always having the most up-to-date call reports, including revisions. But the summary of deposit data, we also get from the FDIC when they release it. And it allows you to see not only your current market share in the counties where you have offices, but also the longer-term trend. But you can also research any particular market that you'd like, either, again, by county, MSA, state, or city, and see who the leading deposit gatherers are in a particular state. So again, if you're looking to do any acquisitions or plug holes in your footprint, this is a way where you can kind of quickly go and see different markets and who the players are in those markets. Once you click on a particular market, as I mentioned, you can see not only your current and a multi-year trend of the market share. As you can see here, we've got the last 5 years. But you'll also notice here on the left with the listing of banks, there's a little box to the left. One of the things that we are big advocates for and want to make as easy a process as possible is to give our users the ability to create as many useful and meaningful peer groups as they might like. One of the ways we allow you to do that is you can go into your deposit market share, see the banks who are swimming in the same pool as you or in your backyard, whatever kind of analogy you want to draw, and click on the bank names that you would like to create as a peer group. We have multiple ways to create peer groups, but this is one of the easiest ones where you can simply click on a listing of banks and create a peer group simply by clicking on the button here that I'm circling. Actually, I probably should just get the drawing tools. And so you can, here you can see this custom peer group tab that you can go ahead and click on once you create it. So again, just trying to give you as many functional and easy to operate tools as we can. Okay, all right, let's move on to the, oops. Okay, bear with me 1 second. Get rid of that. Oops. Okay, there we go. I click her back. We also provide quarterly some performance numbers. We do this at both the state and national level. So you don't have to do anything other than come in and run the report. All of our reports are able to be accessed. Let me get back to my clicker here. You can access these at the top through the drop down, and then you can run them on any of the states. But it'll just give you a quick comparison of what's happening in a particular state or nationally every quarter, and you can run those, either even at a county level if you'd like. So again, just trying to keep performance measurements at your ready. This is something, a lot of banks look at what the FDIC does every quarter. We also give you a filter for community banks. Obviously, the FDIC's numbers are going to include all the largest banks, so that's really telling the story of the largest banks. We have an index we call the Qwick Analytics Community Bank Index, or the QCBI, and we kind of really try to hone in on community bank performance more so than just the overall individual or overall bank performance. Okay, I gotta erase those drawings there. Okay. Then we also then give you the ability to drill down into your own bank level information. So you can see at the top here we have a My Bank listing and your bank name. Clicking on it will allow you then to see all of your bank's information. What you'll notice is we've organized your call report information into a number of different financial performance tabs that you can see here to the left. Hopefully these are helpful, and you can see I'm a terrible drawer, but these are some of the different financial performance tabs we break your call report information down into. We do have holding company information, so you can see that as well. And then also, I think important to know is, again, as I mentioned earlier, we are big believers in peer group information. So we provide you with a couple of peer groups right off the bat. We provide you with your own state community bank peer group. We also provide you with your UBPR peer group. But we also, you can immediately see those numbers either on a peer median and where the bank ranks. And so that's, again, just very quickly in all of our interactive pages, you can see that type of information. The other thing you'll notice is we're big believers in seeing your absolute numbers over time. And so we'll show you always, 6 full years of data. You can also change the presentation to quarterly or year to date, and allow you to very quickly move back and forth between either annual presentations or quarterly presentations. As I mentioned, all of the information is always available to be printed, a PDF created, exported to Excel, or a PowerPoint slide created. Now that I've made a mess of that screen, let's move on to the next one. Oops. There we go. We also have a number of different reports that you can access through here in the drop-down as well, that you can access. Again, you can see we have a report card. We've got a Purewatch Trends, a number of different peer reports, the stress test. All these can be accessed on the drop-downs. In addition, here we give you the ability to see the numbers either on a most recent quarter basis, a last 12 months, or a year-to-date presentation. So again, through this drop-down, you can change out that information as well. Okay. As I mentioned, you can see a peer median and your percentile rank within each of those peer groups. And so you can see in the red, ovals shaped up there, those circled. So it'll always show you, regardless of the peer group, we'll recalculate those for as many peer groups as you have, that you can see that information. And then we highlight in red or green if you're in a top or bottom quintile of a particular peer group. Again, I think we're big believers. We know regulators look at peer groups. If we want to be the best bank we want to be, we want to look at things absolutely on a relative basis. So we're just trying to make, essentially give you an analyst at your fingertips that is, crunching all this data so you don't have to you do it yourself or have someone at the bank spend time doing any of this. We also give you on each of the interactive pages and tabs that here to the left, we'll give you graphs at the top for you, to easily see summary numbers. And as I mentioned, we're always typically going to show you your bank numbers, and then we're going to show you peer median numbers. So, as we're going through this, a couple of things I hope you'll keep in mind and are starting to see is, one, A, there's a lot of information out here. B, it's fairly easy to navigate, a lot of, just pointing and clicking to the things that you want. And three, hopefully it's very clear and visual, how to move from one thing to another. But again, just trying to take some of the mystery out of all these numbers. We've also tried to create some different summaries in terms of credit. An asset quality summary page here that you can see these graphs at the top. And then back to the financial performance tabs. We recently, with the addition of IntelliCredit, separated out a section on credit. Obviously, with the call reports, you can't see a lot about credit, but we again thought all of these things you can kind of see not only your absolute numbers, but see some relative comparisons to peer groups. We also give you the ability to create a report package of all of these tabs. So all of these tabs you can create a report package from. We also do grab all your call report pages. Boy, that's a terrible circle. So you can see the raw data if you want to see where we are sourcing those numbers. All right, so let me clean this up again. Get back to a non-clicker. All right, and let's move on to the next. So this is another example. So the previous page, again, a lot of these pages, we have numbers, laid out over time, but they can be very granular, very comprehensive, and sometimes very overwhelming. So you may have constituencies in your bank, maybe your board, who would like to see things maybe in a little bit more concise presentation. So we created what we call the performance matrix and a credit matrix that really shows you your bank's information versus a peer group of your choosing over a particular time period, that you can see very concisely in a one-page visual what how the bank is faring against a particular peer group. So this performance matrix in this example shows the bank versus their state peer group. You can see we have a peer median that shows those numbers. We've got the top 20th percentile numbers and then the bottom 20th percentile. But then you can see where the bank falls in each of those categories. So it's a nice way to build consistency of presentation to your board. They get a flavor of where the strengths and weaknesses are for the bank relative to peer groups. But it's something that's easy to replicate and put into quarterly board minutes, to share with your board members, how the bank's doing, obviously on an absolute basis, but also on a relative basis. And so this is what we call the performance matrix. We also have much more detailed reports, again, that can be run quarterly. This is an example of our bank performance report card. This is perfect to use with larger peer groups such as your UBPR or your state peer group, or again, a larger custom peer group of your creation. It shows, again, absolute performance over time. It will show peer group averages and medians. It will graph the data for you. So again, all you have to do within Qwick Analytics is simply choose to run the report and pick a peer group. So it's an example of one of the reports that are baked in there for you to use on a regular basis. The credit matrix that I had mentioned earlier is another example of a matrix where you can see your bank's information. We've tried to, separate out the call report information into 3 different categories. Again, if you think about call report data, everything's kind of in the rear view mirror, so we're not really looking at anything underwriting, obviously, with those numbers. But what we did think we could show banks on a relative basis, again, is how you compare to a peer group in 3 different ways. And we think of those with current credit risk, which really speaks to problems such as non-performers on the balance sheet. Secondly, we think of it as portfolio risk, which we talk about, concentrations the bank might have, or just the overall leverage within the loan portfolio. And then finally, capital and persistence power, which really speaks to the bank's ability to deal with losses or absorb losses. And we think of those through earnings, reserves, and capital. So you can see on this example of the report, again, we kind of break it down into quintiles so you can see relative to a peer group where the bank falls. But again, it's just a nice, consistent presentation summarized in a very, one-page fashion to give you a quick sense, potentially to share with your board or even the management teams of where the bank, kind of falls within a peer group. Again, if you think about your regulator, they're looking at the UBPR and this relative comparisons before they come in to see you. And so we think this is just a good, fresh reminder as well, just to get a sense of how they're viewing you before they come in for an exam. This next report page depicts what we call a page from what we call Purewatch Trends. This is my actual favorite report, or an example of my favorite report that we do at Qwick Analytics. As I mentioned, I'm a director in a community bank in Illinois. We're a 2-county bank, so I'm particularly interested in what's going on with the banks who we compete with on a daily basis. This gives us the ability, or gives me the ability, to see them not only on a longer term basis. So, there's a lot going on in this page. So one, we've got the individual banks that are in our backyard, so you can see them. We can see the long-term historical numbers for all of those banks, right? So that's nice. We get that presentation. We get the 4 most recent quarters, so those are nice. We get to see those. This is the last 12 months. But down here at the bottom, you can see I've got a UBPR peer median, I've got a state median, and this custom peer group median. So right here in this box, we've got a lot of information about our competitors and our bank, because here's, our bank's going to be across the top line. We graph that for you as well with your bank in green and the 3 peer group medians, and then we show you the most recent quarter performance. So this is, again, a ton of information that all you have to do to prepare it is pick a peer group and hit run report. So it's just a huge time saver, but it's a great report to kind of compare yourself with your peers or just banks that you're competing with on a quarterly basis. That, again, I find very helpful, as do a lot of the banks who utilize it from Qwick Analytics. As I mentioned, and we've referred to a number of times during this presentation, is a lot of what we do is through custom peer groups. So we want you to be able to create those. We showed you one way earlier that you could create a peer group. We do already, kind of bake in for you your UBPR peer group, which is a very broad peer group. We narrow that down to a state QCBI. Again, that's community banks in your state. And then you have the ability to create your own custom peer group. And then they will all show up that you can come back in and edit them or delete them. But you can see on this page, we give you a number of different ways to filter to create those peer groups. If you know the bank's name that you want to add to a peer group, you can do that here at the top. And you can do that. If you want to do something by state or county or city, you can do that. You can filter by asset size. And then we give you a number of different financial metrics that you can filter by as well. So, any type of peer group that you want to create, if you want to do something by an asset bucket, you can do that very, very easily. And those will be available, for you to use and everybody else within the bank. We also have a number of different reports that we create for you. One of them is a liquidity report. This one just shows a number of static early warning indicators and ratios for the bank. Again, we'll make comparisons to a peer group. It's built upon guidance given by the OCC. And one of the nice things that we allow you to do, and you'll notice these red highlights, we let you drop in your own internal policy limit. And so by doing that, it will show you if you're outside of any of your policies, and you can see that noted here down below. You'll also notice to the right, the numbers that are shaded in yellow. We will also highlight if any of these numbers have changed by 10% on a quarterly basis or annually by 25%. And we do that just as kind of a heads up of something that might catch a regulator's eye. So this is very popular with a lot of our banks, that they'll throw it in their ALCO minutes or their board minutes just to, again, kind of give some, filler for the examiners that they know this information is being shared with ALCO committees and board committees. We know a number of banks, spend a lot of time or pay money to have people do Reg F due diligence. No need to do that any longer. Qwick Analytics has a number of different ways that you can tackle that. One is, obviously, since we have every bank in Qwick Analytics, you can pull down information on any of your correspondence. We also give you a very quick, what we call a Reg F Snapshot, that you can print a 2-page summary of any bank, or in this case, your correspondence that you can utilize for your Reg F due diligence. All right, so that's some of the, again, as you can see, comprehensive, not only reporting of your bank's information, but a number of different ways where you can kind of compare your bank to different, not only banks, but peer groups. Now let's talk a little bit about some of our regulatory and compliance tools, and these have certainly been gaining a lot more attention, particularly CECL. So, we're typically running CECL webinars every month, here now through the end of the year. It's starting to get, closer. A lot of examiners are asking banks, what their plans are for CECL and are interested in hearing that when they come in for the next exam. And we really think we've, built something here that will, not only solve the problem for you, but just make the transition very easy. We use a combination of the weighted average and open pool snapshot methodologies. We gather all of your historical call report information to populate our tool, and we give you the ability to customize your loan pools, beyond these call report tabs. But if you think about CECL, one of the challenges that CECL presents is, not only the confusion presented by, the talk that we've been around, it's been around for so long, but secondly was this idea that we were going to do loan level predictive type of analysis along with economic forecasts. And, again, just the practical reality is that most banks don't have good historical information. So that immediately rules out the ability to do any type of good loan level historical analysis. Secondly, economic forecasting is not done well by anybody, but least of all by people who don't have sophisticated models. So the regulators quickly realized that most community banks are going to have to tackle CECL in a, kind of a little bit more practical, straightforward type of fashion. And in a number of webinars that they have been conducting since 2018, they laid out ways that banks could tackle CECL. We built our tool around those presentations. And so ours is essentially a weighted average or the WARM methodology of as the benchmark for what we're doing. We look for the bank to provide those WARMs. We've got your historical information, so we can see what your historical loss rate has been for each of these call report categories. So we've got information going back to 2008 that we load and continually update that allows us to see that information for your bank, regardless of what the WARM is. In addition, we calculate weighted averages on peer groups. Again, you can use your own custom ones. You can look at your UBPRs, but you can get all that information. We'll touch on, we've got, a place for you to put in your Q factors, and then, all driving towards an expected future loss rate that we'll show you here in a second. So again, we're going to have you enter in those WARMs right here. We're going to be able to calculate the average remaining life, the loss rates over those remaining lives. We also give you the ability to override the populations, so you can put in your current loan balances. So we've formatted this, organized all the data so that you will have a few data points, but you can very quickly and repeatably tackle CECL on an ongoing basis. As I mentioned, these sites kind of show you can look at a number of, ways of working ours kind of in a step-by-step fashion. So as I mentioned, we've grabbed and gathered all of your historical information so you can not only see that data by loan category, but we've got your charge-offs and your recoveries, but you can also customize the look-back period. So we've kind of given you the ability to create some variability or customization with this if you would like. But the bottom line is we're always recalculating these numbers, not only for your bank, but for the peer groups as well. And you can see that. And so it's always going to be a like type of exercise. We also know that Q factors are going to play a big part of this. If you think about your bank, and for many banks right now, the other practical limitation for CECL right now is that many of you have not been experiencing much in the way of loan losses. And so if you think about predicting something, if you have a 0 and a 0 and a 0 and a 0, what are those zeros going to predict? 0. Well, that's a problem. Not that it's great that we all have very low loan losses, but you and I both know that even if the numbers that CECL predicted were lower, our regulator and our boards, maybe even our accountants, are probably not going to let us have a reserve that is significantly lower than what we have today. And so it brought to, again, the practical limitation of what we're doing with CECL, which means this is still a very big qualitative exercise. So we, certainly give you the ability to not only continue to do the type of analysis you're doing today, we provide you with those peer numbers as another point of Q factor or environmental factors, but we also allow you to visualize what your losses have been over a life of loan. And that way, once you've kind of made your Q factor adjustments, you can see what your loss rate and what you have as an intended CECL reserve might look like and how that might compare with what's happened in the past. And so you can see over here to the right, for each of the loan buckets, we create this graph for you that will show you your bank's loss experience, will show you the peer group's loss experience, and then we'll show you the shaded area, which is showing your CECL estimate. And you can very quickly visualize to see, is this realistic and appropriate for what we've experienced? But it also has been very effective in explaining it to boards, regulators, and accountants. We also give you some FRED data, so you can put in some economic data. We have a drop down of a handful of different economic factors that we'll also be adding to as we move forward. So, we continually try to improve this based on guidance that we're hearing or best practices that a regulator might suggest, but we're very happy with the response that we've gotten. And again, comfortable we can, satisfy any CECL issues for all of our banks. Even though everything we're showing you here and you would see in a demo is very interactive, we do recognize you'll want to be able to save multiple scenarios or play around with multiple scenarios, and then you'll also want to be able to export those when you are finished. So we give you the ability to do both, right? So one, you can save as many scenarios as you want. So each quarter or monthly, however often you're doing the analysis, you can save those, and they will, store historically. Secondly, you can export these to a PDF or to an Excel template that's formatted for you. So you'll have, turnkey presentation of the information once you have done it. I also want to note on this page, the resources tab up here to the right. This is where we have listed out not only all the presentations and transcripts from the webinars the regulators did, but also just, information from FASB. Again, everything that's not only supporting the tool that we built, but also literally, being able to provide regulators the guidance on where we got the information to build the tool that we did. Okay. So I would say with our CECL tool, the only thing, the biggest thing that the bank has to do is calculate a WARM. This has presented a problem for some banks, but we can solve it if your core does not easily spit that out for you. Hopefully, it's something that your core system would be able to do, but if not, we can do it. We just need a few pieces of data. To calculate a WARM, all you really need is a loan number, a loan balance, a maturity date, and a call report type code. Or if you've got the interagency ILDR file, some people call it a flat file or the loan tape. If you can generate any combination of these, we can calculate that WARM for you. So we think we've really addressed all the really outstanding issues involved with CECL, and again, would be happy to demonstrate your numbers to you at your convenience. All right, so that's our CECL tool. The other big popular regulatory tool we have is an interactive credit stress test. A few years ago, a lot of us were being asked for this. We haven't been asked as much lately, but as it's increasingly coming back in that regulators are asking it. One of the things, though, that we thought is two things. One, a lot of banks pay for this analysis. Again, this is part of our Qwick Analytics presentation, so it's an opportunity to potentially save some money. But we've already run a test for you. So we run it with the default assumptions, and that's why you can see the test results right away. we do give you the ability to customize some of these inputs. But this is, again, makes the production of this very easy and attainable. And there's a great risk management step to simply provide this and put it in your board minutes on a semi-annual or annual basis, or even quarterly. We have some banks who run it quarterly because it's a very, low hurdle to obtain since we've done all the work for you. Again, you can export all the results when you're done, but essentially what this will show you is what type of capital cushion your bank has. And the idea of the test was to suppose if we went through another crisis again, what type of capital cushion does the bank have? And so, again, this is a great way to just get those those guardrails or goalposts, identified, and give you and your team the confidence that, regardless of what happens in the future, plenty of capital at the bank. But if you're running a little light on capital, it will specifically, back into the numbers of the amount of losses you could absorb before you'd breach any of the capitalization levels. So again, just a huge time saver, but valuable pieces of information from a credit risk management point of view. Okay, as you can see, we do give you the ability to customize the inputs. This was made more apparent with all the PPP loan activity. So this page, one of the inputs that you can customize is you can back out the values for the PPP loans. You can see those numbers listed at the bottom in this example. But if you also have any other guaranteed loans or credit enhanced loans, anything that would allow you to potentially overstate the amount of at-risk loans, you can back those out. So this is just one example of some of the types of inputs that we allow you to customize with our tool. And again, are happy to go through this in greater detail with your numbers at your convenience. We also give you the ability for the peer groups to make some customization things around not only the timing of the stress periods that you can see for most banks. 2009 and 11 through 11 were the worst years, but if they weren't, you can customize those along the comparison period, and then you can also change the severity of the peer group by customizing those as well. So just a couple of more examples of some of the customization tools we've built into our analysis. And then you'll get a nice report. You can have, again, summarized or a lot of detail, so you can see those here. And then we'll show you not only the loss projections, but the impact on earnings and the capital impact. So again, a very, very comprehensive, very detailed report. But again, we've done all the heavy lifting for you in the background. Okay, let's just skip through these here. We also have a capital planning tool. This is, again, very popular with our users. What we do is just give you the ability to forecast your capital out over a 5-year time horizon. Probably the biggest compliment we get on this particular tool is that all of these cells are overridable. So you can change numbers, these percents that we've kind of put in assumptions for you. You can change those. You can change these cells by numbers. Either way, they will recalculate based on the changes you make. So again, you can think about doing this through an Excel tool. You got to build the Excel model and this and that. Here, everything's already kind of laid out for you. You just come in and change the numbers, and you can do a forecast of capital. Whether it be for strategic planning purposes or just capital management purposes. So that's another example of the tool. So again, I hope you're getting the sense that what we do and what we continue to try to do is just continue to build out information to help save you time. If all of that wasn't enough, we also have an Excel add-in tool. So this allows you to import any piece of call report information into your own spreadsheet, so you can pull that information about your bank or any other bank. We've also added holding company information here. We also have information on credit unions and their call report data, so if you want to see any of those in your backyard. Again, just another way to familiarize yourself or just personalize information into a presentation you want. Again, this will put it into Excel, and then you have all the functionality that Excel provides. And again, just a very simple download of the Addin tool. Okay, you can see here you can create a number of different reports. We have over 2,700 fields of information, for banks. As you can see here, we have holding company, stock market fields, SEC fields, and the credit union fields. We do have at the top, you can see the link to a guide. So we will help you not only recreate spreadsheets, but there is a very good step-by-step user guide with most of our tools that will assist you, beyond the training that we provide, to get you and your team started. It's probably a good reminder at this time to let you know too, all the subscriptions to Qwick Analytics are, institution-based, meaning you can have as many users as you would like. So, the more people who want to use this, it doesn't cost any additional for the bank. Okay, just some more examples of some of the fields that you can kind of customize these to. We're getting closer here to the end, so thanks for everybody's patience today. We also built out an industry credit research tab. This just allows you to, again, visualize any of the call report industry or credit information, so you can access all that data and put it into not only a nice visual. You can also overlay economic trends on those if you want to see if there's any correlations. And then you can also, single click and export all this information into a PDF or Excel as well. So just as we've kind of been a theme throughout, everything you can do in the interactive pages, you can ultimately export into something of your own as well. Some of the newer tools, we've built a little side-by-side analyzer that allows you to put your bank alongside either a peer group or up to 6 other banks here that you can do. We are building out a Camels page. This will highlight some of the ratios that impact your Camel ratings. We'll show you how your numbers have trended over the last 4 years, over the last 4 quarters. We'll also show you how that compares to your peers. So again, just a good quick way to visualize, to see, for those numbers that matter, as you're thinking about your Camel ratios, what drives those. You can see if you're trending in the right direction and how they compare to your peers. So we think there's a lot here to unpack. We think there's a lot of different values for different parts of the bank. We encourage you to share it throughout the bank. But again, I think at the top of the list is the fact that we just eliminate the need for you to aggregate data. We just don't think there's any value in utilizing your time to do all that data aggregation when you should spend your time analyzing the data. So if we can save you that time, that gives you more time back in your day to analyze all these different pieces of information, but also to better understand your numbers versus your peers and just your numbers on an absolute basis. We think there's great value for your boards. Again, all of us are probably spending time creating board reports, be it monthly or quarterly. For any of those quarterly reports where you're looking at call report or UBPR information, I am quite confident Qwick Analytics will save you or a team member time in preparing that, and then also just give you, good, consistent reporting framework. So that's pretty much what we wanted to show at Qwick Analytics. I just wanted to give you a quick high-level introduction, just to let you know about IntelliCredit. IntelliCredit kind of takes the next step down. We go into the loan levels. We do have an app that, again, can provide reporting tools and analytical tools that we call Portfolio Analyzer. We do have the ability for your credit team to utilize this for their internal loan reviews, but also just annual credit reviews that you might be doing, which we're quite confident will save them time. And then we're also available for any external loan review needs that you might have. We think there's tremendous advantages of this. Again, by having that loan level information, you can just get a much better visual picture of what's happening within the portfolio. Hopefully identify if there's any emerging risk, be able to see that, be able to see your portfolio trended out over time, and give you a complete and comprehensive way to create any report. So again, from a monthly board reporting or quarterly reporting, we can just give you a much easier report writer than I suspect your core system is providing you today. And all of it's really driven by just a core extract. Okay. All right. So again, thank you for your time today. I know we covered a lot. I encourage you to take a look at both Qwick Analytics and if you're interested in telecredit. We designed this to be a couple of things, as I mentioned. One, affordable. With Qwick Rate, I think we've always been, tried to be, reasonably priced so that banks can employ our tools. Secondly, I think we've done something here, again, that is easy to use, easy to understand, easy to replicate, and easily, available to allow your bank to kind of ingest this and digest this throughout your organization. So, I'd encourage you to take a look. We'd certainly welcome the opportunity, but we do think we'll save you not only time but also money. And all of these are backed up with the support that you've come to know and love through Qwick Rate. So again, I'll encourage you to give us the opportunity to demo this or in telecredit. If you're looking to do a loan review in the future, we'd ask and respectfully ask the opportunity to potentially bid on that. And then I'm going to check to see if there's any questions here at the moment. Okay, it does not appear that we have any questions, so I'll leave this screen up a little bit longer. But again, I'll thank you all very much for your time today, and we'll look forward to hearing from you. And if we can help with CECL here in the near future, please don't hesitate to reach out. So again, thank you for your time, and thanks for tuning in today, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye now.